Hello, I'm Ben Hartman at Clay Bottom Farm. Today's video is on living mulch. Let's get into it. Our focus here is lean farming. In other words, how can we grow more value with less work and waste? And as part of that focus, we're trying to remove as much plastic from the farm as we can. Plastic is a form of waste, it's costly. We used to mulch between tomatoes and other crops with plastic, landscaping fabric. And we're exploring alternatives like burlap, which I've showed in other videos. And here we're exploring living mulches. This is New Zealand clover. It's a low-growing clover that we've seeded to replace plastic. In reality, the clover seed is actually lower cost than plastic. We don't have this waste product that we're at the end of the growing season. And the clover is providing nutrients for our soil. It's fixing atmospheric nitrogen and making it available for the plants. So it's good for the soil, good for the plants, and good for us. It's actually, I found it to be about an equal amount of labor to broadcast our seed and get it seeded as it is to pin down landscaping fabric. So how do we get this in? What I did is, in the middle of winter, before we planted the tomatoes, I used our Jang seeder and seeded the seed. I drilled the seed and I also broadcast the seed. I found that a combination of drilling and broadcasting provides the best results. You want a nice thick mat in here. I'm going to talk about using cereal rye too, and in the comments I'll share the chart that we use if you want to know what the drilling spacings that we're using for this process. But clover is a very tiny seed, and so you need to be pretty precise with how you seed it. And then I watered this in by hand, kept it nice and wet until germination, which was 2 or 3 weeks after seeding. And that's about it. I left about 10 or 12 inches for planting the tomatoes. So the clover's not going right up to the plants. There is a bit of a gap. And I was concerned about the stolon, which are the climbing roots of these clovers, the stolon creeping into the tomatoes, and that simply hasn't been a problem. You can see there's plenty of robust growth on the tomatoes. We're not having nutrient competition here. Even if some of the stolon do find their way in later in the season, these tomatoes are well established. I'm not concerned at all about nutrient competition between these two. And as you can see, the clover has done a pretty good job of weed management. On occasion, a weed will find its way through and that will need to be pulled. But for the most part, the clover is managing our weeds just fine. That said, if you have a super weedy patch, certainly there's nothing like landscape fabric to completely smother weeds where weeds have gotten out of hand. But if you haven't given clover a shot, I would highly recommend it. Give it a try. It's a nice, soft walking surface. You can use it in your pathways in the field too. Then you don't have to restrict it to the greenhouse. So what I've been doing is about once a week in the spring, and now that we're in the summer, I haven't actually done any mowing for about a month. But once a week in the spring, as it's growing, to get a nice thick mat established, I would mow it with an electric lawnmower. So let me show you what that process looks like. So I set this on the highest setting, and actually I need to adjust it here. Set this on the highest setting, and I have a bag catcher here. So I can catch the clippings, and then as I need to, I can take the bag off, dump the clippings around the plants, and another way to mulch the plants. But even this taller clover here, you can see that it's doing a great job of mowing. And like I said, once a week at max, but in the summer, almost no mowing should be needed here. Now, how do I irrigate this clover? At this point, I'm actually not doing any irrigation. I have drip tapes running beside the tomatoes on both sides of the tomatoes. And I suspect that there's moisture coming from those drip tapes feeding these clovers. If I wanted to irrigate them, there are a couple of options. In the springtime, I did bring out Sumi Soaker Mark II irrigation hoses. And those are hoses that have small perforations in them. And they allowed us to irrigate just the pathway without getting too much water on the tomatoes. You can certainly run drip tapes in your clover too. It's just that bear in mind that if you're going to mow, then those systems have to be removed, obviously, before you would mow. Let's take a look at the next path over here. We're doing experiments with different types of living mulch systems. And this one looks nearly identical. It's clover, but what we did was we actually grew a cereal rye and clover together. And what happened here was the cereal rye took off really quickly in this early spring. The clover is much slower growing. And so if you had seen this even a month ago, you would have barely seen the clover, and the cereal rye would have been dominant. And now that it's warmer, cereal rye being a cold season cover crop, the clover is taking over. So it's kind of neat to see how those two interact with one another. And I think it's actually a great way to go, because the cereal rye is something I felt like we could walk on, put some real foot traffic on in the early spring. And clover is pretty sensitive about foot traffic. And so that allows us to walk on the path earlier than seeding just clover, which also works too. Now let me show you what just cereal rye looks like. So this again was seeded in late winter, and I would have drilled it and broadcast it for a nice thick stand. And this is just the cereal rye. And what I've noticed is that as it heats up, the cereal rye grows slower and slower, and it stays lower to the ground. And again, I haven't mowed this in about a month. I don't anticipate that I'll really need to mow this again. It's a bit hairy for walking on, and so if you wanted, a shorter, more manicured look, you could certainly mow it, but I don't think there's a need. And the cereal rye, in this case, appears to be getting plenty of irrigation water from the sides of the greenhouse and from our drip tape over here. I have not been irrigating in the middle. Now, come mid-August, I might change my tune, and we might bring a drip tape or two in here to keep it irrigated. But for now, it's staying alive with actually no work. So it's costing me no extra hours compared to landscaping fabric. And by the end of this season, the time management requirements are actually the same or perhaps a bit less than landscaping fabric, with all those other soil health and plant health benefits that I've mentioned. And so if you haven't tried living mulches, I do recommend it. Try it on a small patch that first season. Develop a system that works for you. But it's a very practical way to reduce the plastic on your farm.